Rapids. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 361 of Picks and Ponies right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I am your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you very much for joining us tonight as we're going to be discussing the fantastic late pick 5 on opening weekend at Saratoga, featuring the Grade 1 Diana Stakes and many other great races with a very special guest, the NHC 2024 champion, Mike Gillum. We are very happy to have him on. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. After you do that, hit the notification bell at the top right-hand part so that you know when new content will arise, and smash that like button below the video player. You can reach myself on X at HKravitz right there. Scrolling at the bottom of the screen is my email, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. Sound is working. I think we're all good. If you don't know what I'm talking about, see the show this morning. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. The tip sheet. We have regular Power Pick tip sheet. Look below the video player for our standard Power Picks, which comes every Saturday. However, on our fantastic website, hhhracingpodcast.com, we also have Saratoga only and Del Mar only Power Picks. So let me very, very quickly talk about this because I'll bring it up on screen. It's very important because here it is right here is our website. You simply just go to the Power Picks and click on that, and you can see we've standard, Saratoga only, and Del Mar only. If you click on the Saratoga only, you get all the information you need. You can either do a full meet or an individual meet. The full meet, again, is Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So it's not every single day of the meet. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Or you could sign up for individual weekends. So please make sure you consider that. Now, I want to be very clear. The deadline for our full meet Power Picks is tonight, Thursday night, midnight Eastern. So if you're going to sign up for our full meet Power Picks, and it's a great discount, the full meet, please make sure you do that by tonight, Thursday, midnight Eastern. Otherwise, you can sign up for individual Power Picks. Now, if you want to sign up for weekend one only, the deadline is also tonight, Thursday, midnight Eastern. However, if you do want to sign up for next weekend, you have until next Monday to Thursday. So you always have Monday to Thursday night, midnight Eastern, to sign up for individual Power Picks for an individual weekend. However, again, the full meet and weekend number one must be done by tonight, midnight Eastern. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. Let me go ahead and take that off the screen. Also, Better Way of Thinking is a great book written by good friend Matt Miller and friend of the podcast. Check that out at abetterwayofThinking.com. All right, I think that takes care of everything. Let me first bring on my fantastic co-host. First, from the East Coast of Maryland, we got Mr. Pete Visco, and from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Saratoga Special, who I'm sure enjoyed day one of Saratoga, Mr. Paul Halloran. Guys, how are we doing tonight? Oh, Paul.
I can't hear you, Paul. What's happening? I can't hear you.
Come on now, Paul. It's been a rough day already. Paul, by the way, awesome job again this morning. Really appreciate it.
Well, my best bet of the day just finished 2 minutes ago. Other than that, I was great.
Still running, huh? Well, listen, just like any Saratoga day, Paul, I'm sure yours was like mine. Some ups, some downs. Unfortunately, today it was more downs than ups. But what are you going to do? I love Sherbini in the Schuylerville. And then one of my favorite jocks, Dylan Davis, got beat me at 44-1 with a no-hoper on paper with Safi. What are you going to do, Paul?
I was right with you, Howard. I had the same idea as you. I played the logicals on top. I mean, I almost canceled the 5 when he pulled her gate antics, but I could have canceled everyone and I wouldn't have landed on that 11. So,
yeah, it was tough day, but we had some winners that gave out some good picks earlier today and had a good day. Pete, glad to have you. I hope you had a good day. Listen, I'm very excited, guys, to have our guest. Let's just bring him on right now. He's waiting patiently in the background. We've had a lot of excellent handicappers on this podcast over in its 3.5-year reign, and we've had many accomplished contest winners. But I can safely say this is the first time. I actually have to think about this, but I believe this is the first time we've had an NHC champion, and he beat 700 plus people or whatever it is. It is extremely hard to do. So let's go ahead and bring him on from Indiana. We are very proud to have the 2024 NHC champion, Mr. Mike Gillum. Mike, congratulations again. How you doing today, man?
Good. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It's our pleasure. And of course, Mike, I've seen you a few times, most recently at the Hawthorne Invite, which they put on a great show. There's going to be some comments in the chat, Mike, that I'll bring on the bottom of the screen. But as I do that, why don't you just tell everyone a little bit about yourself? You don't have to do a whole bio. And then just talk about the NHC experience. I know that could be a whole show in itself, but what an unbelievable win. You could talk about the total amount of money you won, or how you spent the money, or avoid the whole money competition altogether. Talk about your general strategy. But I'll leave the floor to you for about 2 minutes, Mike. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Mike Gillum. I'm just a lifelong horse fan and player. My dad was a bookie growing up, and he was a real good bookie, but he wasn't a very good horse player. He would lose all his dad up there, in heaven, you just weren't that good of a horse player. But he lost a lot of his profits from his bookie days at the horses. So I just tried to learn from that. And my uncle Mike owned horses, and Norman Cassie Sr. was his trainer and owner. Wow. With him. And Mark Cassie, right when he started training, he was trainer for him as well. And I was in many win photos when I was a kid, but I just love the horses. Started playing contests like in 2010, started to start to qualify for the NHC in like 2017, maybe for the first time. I qualified in 19, came in 462nd, got my feet wet a little bit, qualified Sure. again in 2023, and came in 31st. And then in 2024, I qualified a third time, and I won. Happened to win, got hot, and on day 3, I was in 5th after day 1. Fell all the way back to 81st with 2 races to go. I was out of the money, top 77, move on to day 3 and collect a little bit of money. And I had 2 optionals left. I played a 8-5 and a 1-1 shot. Both of them won. I needed them both, every penny of it. And I got to 64th place. Wow. Going into day 3. So I, pressure was off. Once you're in 5th place after day 1, if you don't qualify, it's a lot of pressure. You just want to go home with some money, right? So I fell back to 81st and got the last 2 favorites home just to win. And it's actually who I really liked that day. And they were really like 3-1 and 7-2, and they went down to like 1-1 and 8-5 with some scratches or just some odds changes or whatever, but got them home, and I needed them both. So day 3, started out, lost the first 2 races, fell back to like 75th out of 77 people. And then I got on a little hot streak. I won, after that, I won 10 out of 15 races with 3 seconds Wow. Got on a little heater and took it home. So
yeah, that's a little more than just a little hot streak there, Mike. That's awesome. I was really happy for you. You actually have me sitting relatively close to our table with Matt Miller and a bunch of people. We were right next to the middle center area, so we were right in the mix there, and it was just a great run, man. Just amazing to watch. Next year, I've actually double qualified next year, and next year's being my 3rd year qualifying. So maybe it's that year 3 thing. That'll be a lucky charm
Right
for
on.
me. So it's definitely a learning experience, that's for sure. It's just a whole other ball game. But anyway, amazing accomplishment, Mike, and look forward to seeing you in many other tournaments. And Pete, let's just hope that Mike has saved a few winners for tonight, because Saratoga is pretty tough, Pete.
Well, I was going to say, Mike, it doesn't really matter what you did in the NHC. If you give out losers tonight, then our fans are just going to be like, yeah, that guy sucks. We don't care.
I know. This is kind of like baseball, If you could hit 300 baseball, you're okay.
You're doing all right.
You're pretty good.
True.
So there's going to be a lot of 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd love to be batting 300 in the horses, Mike. Some days, I'm more in the Mendoza line. Some days, unfortunately.
And Mike, you live in Indiana. You're from Indiana originally, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, terrific. Well, we love the Hoosiers. They actually went to IU way back in the day, so I'm a big fan of Indiana in general. Of course, right next door to us. Pete and Paul, let's get started now. A little business being in the middle of the show. Pete and Paul, Hawthorne, Emily and Jim had things going on tonight. They actually had to cancel, so we do not have a second portion of the show. So we'll go a little bit longer with our handicapping. We're not in a real rush, and Mike has been very generous with his time and said he can go a little longer. So we'll probably go maybe an hour 10, hour 15 with our analysis. It is Saratoga after all, and it's going to take some time to go through. Again, if you're listening to us live, please make sure you comment in the live chat any questions or concerns. If you have any questions for Mike specifically, feel free. I'm sure he'll be happy to answer them. What you're going to see, Mike, and everyone, of course, on the bottom of the screen is our top 3 picks for each race. Let's just jump right in, guys. There we go on the bottom of the screen right now for race 8. And Mike, I use Equibase for the entries, and then I'll be using DRF for our formulator for our past performances, which actually I didn't prep you on, but you're a pro. I'm sure you can handle any type of tool that we use. Let's go ahead and start right off, guys, with race 8 on Saturday at Saratoga. The late pick 5 starts, as you can see, at approximately 4:30 or 4:29 Eastern time with a main special weight. And boy, the main special weights at Saratoga are always loaded. This is a 7 furlong race. You got $100,000 is the purse. It's on the dirt. The Moorline favorite is towards the bottom, number 10, Hurricane Nelson, a Florida bred for Clement and Franco, who's coming off quite a long layoff. And you can see on the bottom of the screen, I'm going 4:10.2. Pete's going 3:27. Paul's going 4:37. And Mike is going 2:10.4. Mike, as our guest, we're going to have you start first. You're going to go with the number 2, who's breaking from the inside 1 hole, points clear for Ortiz and Jose Ortiz, 5-1 morning line. Mike, talk about this horse. Why do you like this one on top?
Yeah, the 10 horse is going to be really tough to beat. I think it's, definitely the horse beat, has 3 really strong buyers, 3, really strong races. And I definitely will be playing the 7 or the 10 equal with the 2, but I'm going to play the 2. Stumbled out of the gate last time, has a really good kick, closed into some slow fractions. This is the kind of horse I kind of like to play. John Ortiz is good with, the young horses. I'm a little concerned with the, competition he was running against, but for 5-1, I think that we're going to really get more than 5-1. He's probably going to be like 5th choice, I think. So I'm hoping to get 6-1 or 7-1. I will be playing the 10 equally with the 2. But that's why I'm going to play the 2-point clear.
Mike Sahalat in that race absolutely freaked. They went 108-3 in that race. And Point Clear was the only one that was really doing any running at all late, which I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. I don't like the fact that the 3rd place finisher came back with a 33 buyer, but that's the only horse, Mike, that has come back out of that race. So I think it's way too early to tell, what kind of race that was. But are you concerned at all with the rail, Mike? Because he didn't break well the first time. The rail is not ideal if he doesn't break, but you figure he'll be better this time, right?
Yeah, I'm, definitely concerned on that, but I think there's going to be lots of pace. He's more of the closing. Well, he showed a really good kick last time, with the bad break and, close a lot. That last horse, that Sahalat or whatever, he did drop 15 buyer points on the next out as well.
Yeah.
And then the last place horse went from a 23 to a -0. So all three of the horses coming out of that race have definitely gone less than better. So that's why I'm a little concerned with that. So I will definitely be playing the 10-horse Hurricane Nelson, equally with the two. But if I'm going to put some win money on top, I'll probably play Point Clear.
Yeah, I had Point Clear in third. Pete likes him in second. Paul doesn't have him in his top three, but perhaps Paul has him. Let me refresh this so I can get the morning lines up on there. That's a little bit, they're not coming up for some reason. Interesting. Okay. Jim Pilar is at the bottom of the screen, likes your pick, Mike. Like Mike's pick, horse that came from Kentucky ran big today. Maybe a trend to watch for. Is that something you look out for, Mike, at Saratoga when you got these boutique meets and you got, horses coming from all over the country? You want to see, what circuits are doing well there, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think the Churchill dirt has been showing, the speed has really been holding up. I'm going to, kind of favor the Churchill speed in Saratoga this meet a little bit. So this is one shot that I'm going to try it at here, and we'll see how it goes.
I like it. Paul, let's go to the 4. You and I both have the 4, and I had a really tough time with this race. I didn't really think anyone else on the screen would actually take the 4 along with me. Talk about Reynolds Channel for your guy, Billy Mott and Junior Alvarado, cutting back in different distance, which is an angle I personally like quite a bit.
Yeah, I think there's a few angles. As someone is in the chat talking about, this looks like a Korea maiden, and 0 for 5 could be, has been bet every time. This is 6. He's never gone off as high as 6-1, but a couple of angles. Mott's 21% blinkers off over the last 5 years. Going route to sprint and dirt on the dirt and maidens, he's 15%, which is respectable. I think that 88 buyer, despite the fact that this horse is 0 for 5, I think an 88 buyer in this race would be very, very formidable. To Mike's point, the 10 shows a 91, so you do have to deal with the 10. But, the 10 was bet 2 of the last 3 races, and, he's still in a maiden race too. So they're all in maidens for a reason. They haven't won yet. The 8's a first-time starter, and the 3 rather. So maybe we can excuse those 2. But yeah, I think the 4's as logical as anyone, Howard. And I hope you weren't disappointed that I was the other one to pick them.
No, I like quite a bit. Pete, let's go to you. It's interesting that, we brought up the 10. You don't have the 10 anywhere. And Pete, I had the 10 second, but I do have some questions about this horse. I'd like you to talk about your top pick, but I also want you to talk a little bit about the 10, Pete, because I think it's interesting that this horse, who I think will be as low as 8 to 5, maybe, that you don't have in your top 3. So I'm curious to see your thoughts on that. But let's talk about the 3 first upstanding. First time starter for Pletcher and Irad Rapoli. This is your typical, potential monster Saratoga horse, right? 400K Keeneland September by Curly out of an Unbridled Song mare. This Stone Street, this horse could be anything.
Yeah, I was actually, I would have bet money that Paul would have had this one on top. The Curlin, the Curlin with Irad. I guess if it would have had to be a Godolphin really to really jump up to the top line. But yeah, that was just one where in a race, right? Again, I didn't think there were any super standouts. I think the 10 is a deserving favorite probably, but like you said, we'll talk about it. I think there are a few questions around there. And this one, like you said, Howard, I mean, really bred well. Obviously, the connections, you pick up Irad, so I assume that horse will get bet just from a connection standpoint. I looked at just some of the basics. Again, 400K. Curlin is 14% with 3-year-old and up first-time starters, 16% dirt sprints. So again, he's just sort of all above average. And then the dam side doesn't have any runners, so you don't get anything there. But the one thing I did like, Todd Pletcher since June 1st, he's 5 for 11 wins, 7 for 11 in the money, first time starters on dirt. So he's been hot with his youngsters lately. So I'm looking at it going in a field where I don't love anyone. I'm going to go with the new shooter and take a shot on a horse that has some really nice work sprinkled in there. Again, you're getting IRAD. I think could work out a good trip from this spot.
I'm just looking at Pletcher first time out on dirt at Saratoga last 5 years. How about 22%? That's pretty damn good. Yep. So he does it with 2-year-olds. He does it with everything. And, the ROI is $1.72, Mike. So that's actually, for a guy like Pletcher to have $1.72 ROI, he's almost beating the takeout. That's actually not too bad. So even Pletcher is getting some okay prices with his first-time starters. That's how deep his stable is, right, Mike? I mean, especially for Saratoga.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Howard, if you add sprint into that equation, I did, it ticks up to 24%.
Wow. That's pretty good. Pete, the 10. I want to hear your concerns, and I'll say a few things. We'll move on to the next race.
Yeah, there's just a few. So Clement I didn't have the exact numbers in front of me, but he wasn't great off. Like I had around a 210 to 300 day layoff in dirt sprints. It wasn't a huge sample size, but he wasn't all that great. The other thing I didn't like, he didn't really gain any ground in any of his races. In the last one, he gained a tiny bit, but he just sort of fizzles out. And then some of the horses that he lost to, like even Deterministic, and I think Bentronato, they were good early, and then they sort of fizzled out eventually, and they weren't as good later. So they were sort of precocious and then fizzled out a bit. I looked at that and said, even though maybe on paper you're like, oh, those are some pretty decent horses at the time, but then they didn't become all that much after that. So I'm looking at it going, if this horse is the favorite, I don't love the horse. The 10 hole also looks like probably needs to try and work out a good trip, which Manny Franco can do, but I figure there's enough knocks on the horse that I'm comfortable. I'm not going to leave it off the ticket completely. It's sort of a B for me, but I figure let's try and beat a favorite right off the jump, unless the Pletcher horse gets bet down anyway, which could possibly happen.
My main question, Pete and Mike and Paul, with the 10 is obviously the 10 can win. And I know the Clement barn very well. They're very patient. They're excellent. Where's this horse been? Right? This horse was really good last year as a 2-year-old. And with all these big, Kentucky Derby prep races, there's a lot of good racing, Keeneland, and there's a lot of good racing in the spring, guys, and early summer, and this horse is nowhere to be found. Clearly there is an issue. I don't have the backstory, but clearly there's an issue here, and 7 furlongs at Saratoga is demanding. So I'm using him, obviously, but I would never put like a win bet on him at even as low as probably 2-1. I even need 3-1 or 7-2 to consider a win bet. Mike, you're shaking your head. Obviously, value is important to you, as something that you've learned from the NHC and whatnot. And so, I mean, you really don't want to take that low a price on the layoff horse, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I couldn't, put any money on the nose on him, but I definitely don't want to, venture in a pick 5 without him. Of
course.
He's definitely the class. And, but I couldn't bet him. That's why I, may put a small little bet on the 2, but I'm going to use them both and the 4 as well. So
I like it. Let's go on to the next race, guys. The next race, which we're going to bring up on screen right now, race 9 is an optional allowance, 62.5. They're going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf. Is this on the inner? I didn't look. I'm sorry. It's on the Melon. Okay, we got to talk about that. Paul, there's no turf racing obviously today, so we got to talk about the turf course differences very briefly. But this race is on the outer. It's on the Melon. It's a big field, as many fields are going to be at Saratoga. You're going to have a pretty big Moorline favorite again, I think, or a post-time favorite. The number 8 Irish Aces for Brendan Walsh and Tyler G. I see 2-1 on the screen, guys. I got a feeling this horse could be more like 7-5. I think this horse is going to take a ton of money and probably should be taking a lot of money. Here's our picks on the bottom of the screen. How much do we like the 8? Well, 2 of us like the 8. 2 of us are not going with the 8. I'm going 10-8-7. Pete's going 8-10-9. Paul's going 8-9-7. And my new good friend Mike also agrees with me, going 10-8. He's got the 3 in third. This time, let's go to Pete and Paul first. Pete, we're going to go to you first. You are going with Irish Aces, a very deserving favorite who's just done nothing but run very well. And by the pure numbers right now, is supposed to win this race.
Yeah, I don't really have anything super creative. I didn't love the rest of the field, but it's one of those where you're like, this horse isn't that great. I would love to try and beat a favorite, which you guys are taking a shot at doing. But then you're looking at it going, man, just from a class perspective, this horse just seems to be a little bit further along. And I mean, it's not like he ran poorly against some pretty good horses. I mean, a third by 2 to Ottoman Fleet, who Ottoman Fleet has been awesome. So you're looking at it going, it's not like this horse was in 10th in every race, losing by 20, and then is now dropping down. Just been really solid. Picks up Gaffleone, who actually has a win on this horse back in 23. So again, nothing super creative, is good at the distance. The only negative I had, we always try and find a little negative, especially if you're trying to beat a really low favorite. Brendan Walsh, 4 for 49 wins on the turf at Saratoga. So not always his bread and butter. But again, you weigh that against, does this horse just have such a class advantage that none of that really matters?
Yeah. None of that matter. It might not matter at all. By the way, Mike Gillum, Matt Miller's here. BC champ, good friend of the show in the chat. Can't watch live tonight or catch tomorrow. Wanted to say congrats to Trish for first. Oh, wow. Trish Smith first in the horse players tourney. And also welcome to Mike Gillum. Great to see you on the show later on, Matt. Appreciate you chiming in. Irish Aces. Paul, you've got this horse on top. Do you see an improvement coming again, or do you think this horse might be leveling out?
I think leveling out in this field is good enough, Howard, to be frank. Okay. I'll be interested to hear you and Mike talk about the 10, because I do think the idea would be, if you're going to beat the 8, you want to get paid, and this horse is 10-1 morning line. And you can talk about the horse Cherie DeVoe is just really, really good. But yeah, I thought to Pete's point, Ottoman Fleet, I'm very busy. We joke about him. He might not be quite as very good as everyone thinks he is, but it looked very, very tough in this race, right? I mean, I like the 9 a little. The horse is a little bit photo shy, camera shy. I went up and down, as I'm sure you guys did. I didn't really come up with a great alternative. I looked at McPeak's horse. The Mendelssohn McPeak has horrible numbers with this type of layoff. Again, it's Saratoga. Anything can happen, but I think everything being equal, this horse is a little bit of a stick out.
Mike, we like to show the time form pace projector. I'm going to ask you in a minute about what tools you use and how you like to look at a race here. But here's the pace projector. If it's correct, they've got it's not a fast pace, it's not a slow pace, and they have the 8 sort of mid pack. Is that how you saw this race flow?
Yeah, 8 is I have 8 as a big closer, and I do see some pace in the race. I definitely think that the 3 is going to send like he always does, and I'm really worried about the Phileas Fogg wiring the field with Jose Ortiz. That was a play on I think it was like March 14th or 15th at the NHC. It was like a 12-1 or 15-1 morning line, went off at 5-1. That was one of my winners on day one. And
oh wow, okay.
And he just went at him, and he took the lead, and he was really aggressive, and he's been like that like in almost every race. So he can actually. I'm really worried about the 3 wiring him, and that's why I will have him as my third choice in the pick 5. But the 8 is really a classy horse. Paul Kalia, who sat next to us, in Chicago at the Invitational. So he is a part owner of this horse.
Right.
And he was really hyping him up. He thought he was going to be running last weekend in the Indiana Derby sequence, and he didn't show up there. He's showing up here at Saratoga, and he's a favorite, and he was hyping him up then last week. But with that said, I'm going to try to beat him. I kind of like this 10 horse Taking Candy with Shuri DeVoe. 10-1. It's a first start as a 4-year-old, could jump up. Won off the layoff before, likes Saratoga, likes the good turf, which we're thinking probably is going to be less than firm, right?
You would think so, yeah.
Yeah. So kind of liking 10-1 there. I will be having the 8 in my pick 5, but I will be having I will be betting the 10, 10-1 on that one, and I will be playing the 3 in my pick 5 as well, because I think he can wire the field. Actually, if he's as aggressive as he's been in the past, he can really wire him here. So worried about that, but I will be playing him, but not I will be using him, but not playing him.
Mike, I totally agree with you, and I'm not just saying that because you're a new guest on the show and everything. I think this horse is fascinating for all the reasons you said. And the fact that Irish Ace was supposed to go to Indiana, and I don't know if he missed a work, but now he's got to travel. It wasn't the plan. Like, I have a feeling Irish Aces might take a little bit of a step back. And I think he might need to, but not a lot. The other thing about his last race, everyone, which was great, but he just like ran around the track. Like, I mean, he got a perfect trip. It was sort of a slow pace. I think that's like the very, very, very best he can do. And it was good. Don't get me wrong. I just see this as a completely different situation with a lot more horses and just a more and a pretty good field. And I agree with you. I have mad love for Shuri DeVoe. This horse was right there with Kyle Spackler last year, and battled. And I think this horse can take a big step forward. He's going to need to, but this is the kind of fresh face that I like, Mike. And I think we're, pun intended, like minds do think alike, because this is like a contest horse, right, Mike? This horse will be like, this is like an 8-1 sneaky kind of horse that could really do well, not only in your day-to-day play, but in a contest, right? So we'll see how much money. I will say, I don't know if you feel, Mike, and then we're going to move on. If this horse is sort of dead on the board at like at the morning line 10-1, 12-1, I probably will not use. I have a gut feeling this horse is going to take sneaky money, like 6-1-ish, and I'm going to really like that if that happens. Do you let the board influence your decisions at all, especially with layoff horses or first-time starters?
I hate to say it, but I do. I let it. If it was dead on the board, I'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm on the wrong horse. I need to find somebody different."
Yeah.
So I'm the opposite. I like when it's taking money, because it gives me more confidence that other people like it than just me. It kind of says, hey, you're not off track here. So although it's not good at the window, it's better for my confidence, and that's kind of what I play. So
I sort of agree with you, especially with layoff horses, because there's intent there, and you know they're ready, and the connections are betting with both fists if the horse is ready also, and so and the owners and etc. So I tend to agree with you, guys. Let's go on to the feature race of the not only entire day, but the entire weekend. I think it's fair to say the Chad Brown Invitation. I mean the Diana, which it seems to be every year, has 10 horses this year, guys. We seem to say this a lot, Pete and Paul. 10 horses. 5 are Chad Brown. Just absolutely unbelievable. And when I look at I know, thumbs down from Pete. When you look at them, like literally, I'd say 4 of the 5 have or at least 3 of the 5, I would say, are serious contenders. The other 2, maybe need to, pick it up a little bit. But it's a fun race. Let's go and look at it right now, guys. The Diana, of course, race 10. How about $500,000? A mile and 1/8 on the inner, like I said, field of 10. The morning line favorite is not a Chad Brown. It is number 4, Didia, for Nacho Correas and Jose Ortiz. Now, let me go full screen with all you guys. Paul, we didn't have a chance to talk about this morning because there was no turf racing. Can you very briefly explain to our wonderful viewers and listeners the difference between the melon and the inner, and tactics jockeys might apply based on the configuration of the track and their post position?
Yeah, as you can imagine, the inner being inside of the other one, it's tighter turns, And typically speed might be a little more dangerous because it is a little more difficult to make up ground. Post position would be a little more important, although in this race, Howard, I think it's negligible. They're starting pretty much all the way up at the top of the stretch. So at this configuration of 1 1/8 on the inner, it's probably less. But I don't think you want to be swung. You want to be parked 8 wide on both turns, because that is not the recipe for success. Might not be the recipe for success anywhere, but especially on the inner up here, and it is a factor. And you get into race flow and who's going to come from where. And I do think, as you mentioned, I do think it does put a premium on jockey intent and jockey tactics. And that's where you get into there'll be a huddle in the paddock. It'll be like Chad Brown is Belichick, and Gina Romantica is Gronk, and White Beam is you know what I'm getting at.
Well, I say with 5 horses, Paul, it'd be more like Red Auerbach, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, that's also a good analogy.
Little tip to the Boston faithful out
or
there.
Joe Mazzulla of the world champion Boston Celtics, in case anyone didn't watch
There
the
you go.
NBA finals. So it is interesting, though, that Didier isn't the favorite. We'll talk about her, but yeah, as far as it is worth paying attention to which course and what type of trip you're looking for your horse to get.
Any clue at all, Paul, on how you think the turf will play? It's obviously very fresh. It should have some give in it. You think that might help speed? Closers, way too hard to say until we see some races.
I think it's going to be, I think they went off today because they had no stake. If there were a stakes race today, I think it would have stayed on.
I
but
agree.
There's no reason to dig it up with those races they had today. Yeah. But it didn't, they didn't get a whole ton of rain. It wasn't raining this morning. It rained overnight, as I understand. So I'll tell you, if it's not firm, I think it's going to be closer to firm than good. So I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be looking for a bunch of Euros looking for a plodding turf tomorrow, Saturday. Rather.
Well, Pete, how about an Argentine bred? Didia, I think prefers firmer, from what I understand. But I mean, she's run well on good tracks. She just makes her own trip, Pete. We've talked about this on the show a zillion times. You could say she got a perfect trip last time, which frankly she did, but she's tactical, and tactical horses can make her own trip. And you've got her on top again, as does Mike, as do I.
Yeah, and again, we always talk about it's not a coincidence if you keep making your own trip. I mean, you keep making a good trip every time, and she does that way more often than not. And again, sort of to Paul's point, when you're on the when you're on the inner, if you do need to be a little bit closer, if that is advantageous, then at least, like, she's probably not going to be on the lead. That's not really her game, but she's always close enough to where, as long as the leader doesn't get away, she's going to be there and she's going to make a move on the leader. And unless the fractions, like two back, she got hurt. Those fractions were just really slow. Even though she was close, the leader just got away, and there was nothing she could do at that point. And the track was a little bit soft at that one. But I think if it's the track is firm or close to it and she's close and the leader just doesn't kick off, then I think she's always tough. She runs her race every time. She's just an awesome horse. I mean, you can't say anything more about her, really.
And she runs well a mile 16. She's just so versatile. Just
but
really honest.
2 for 2 at this distance. So the distance is no problem. She's got the win. The last win was her lifetime buyer top, and it was here at Saratoga. So there's a lot to like, and I think she's a deserving favorite, because usually she isn't. Like, she's one of those horses who gets left a little higher on the board than you would want her to, and that's good for the people who back her every time.
Mike, I'm going to be looking at the turf very carefully, because I think there are some holes you could poke. Number one, she's coming off that buyer top as a 6-year-old. I'm usually not a big fan of that. Number two, she does prefer it firmer. I think they got about 1.5 inches of rain, Paul. I think they got a little more rain than you might give them credit for. And, I'm curious to see how it plays, Mike. I would probably not bet her to win unless she was like 7-2, 4-1. And I'm not sure I'm going to get that. But again, she's another one of these horses, Mike, like the 10 in the first race, the maiden. They're like, I'm not sure I want it better to win, but I absolutely have to use her on the pick 5 ticket.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a big concern on the the turf, how soft it's going to be and how she's going to take to it. I just think she's just a really a fast horse that doesn't need the lead, sits perfect. She makes her own trip. She has tactical speed, and she has this huge burst of speed at the end. I mean, when I saw that last race, I put her on my BC horses to watch list. Like, if she can produce this again, then I'm really gonna really look at this horse again.
She's the three here, Mike. We do watch some replays. Sorry to interrupt you. She's the three. She did get a very good inside trip. I'm not suggesting that she needs a perfect trip to win, but she did save ground the whole way. I mean, this is probably her maximum effort that you're going to get, and I think while she can absolutely repeat it, and she ran great, a lot of things did go her way in this race. I think we all could admit that.
Yes. She had a perfect trip on this race here. She had a perfect trip. I think she's going to get the same trip again. The same horses are in there. Evie Jet is going to give, if White Beam can just go. Oh, so Chad has 5 horses. So he's got to stay to one of them. You got to go, right? You can't all lag back like I love to lag back. One of you just have to go, and White Beam is the fastest horse. But Pratt's on him. I just don't have the confidence that Pratt is going to say, okay, I'm going to go and try to, take over the race. If it was, Luis Saez, I'm betting White Beam. But, normally on a turf race, Pratt's on him. I'm like, I'm betting, if I like that horse and then Pratt's, riding her, I'm like, yes, because it's the best turf rider there is. But on a speed horse, I just don't like that little connection there. So I just don't have the confidence to put White Beam there. But with White Beam and Evie Jet's going to battle it out, Didia's going to sit the perfect trip again. Tactical speed, got a huge burst. I just think that she's going to do it, or he's going to do it again. Is it a he or
she? Okay, now Mike, I'm so glad you said that. I said before the show, if you wanted to have a beverage beside you, that's fine. We have a tradition on this show, Mike. A lot of our new guests don't know this. Anytime you misgender a horse, have a beverage, everyone at home. We come for the misgender. And Mike, believe me, we do it all the time, man. So don't feel bad.
All right. Sorry about
that. Paul was odds on because it's usually Paul first. So it
is usually Paul first.
You beat the favorite, which we like on the show. So you beat the favorite. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Mike, they've got White Beam in front. Would that surprise you?
No. I mean, that's why I think that, she is going to be in front because of the time form US numbers. If Pratt would just send her, I think it is a real shot to wire the field, but I just don't have the confidence that Pratt's going to send her. So I'm going to stick with Didia because I've seen it and I was really impressed, and I want to see it again.
Yeah, she's a really good horse. Let's talk about Chili Flag. Talk about really good. This horse has surprised me time and time again lately, Paul, and I'm going to have to start, picking her on top because Charlie Freeman's favorite horse in the entire world. It used to be me and Mr. C, and now it's Chili Flag, our wonderful young co-host on Bet and Boozin'. I mean, all this horse has done is win lately as a 5-year-old. Chad's done a masterful job. He did say, Paul, and you could take it for what it's worth. He did say in a DRF article that he's not exactly sure about the distance for Chili Flag. I wouldn't really expect him to say anything other than that, but it is a valid concern. But at a mile, her kick is wicked. Will it be the same at a mile and 8? That's a big question. You say yes.
Yeah, well, that is a question. But the other part of that is you may expect her to be a little closer as well. I just think she is in really, really good form. And if you look at the last 3 races, ninth at the top of the stretch wins. The next race, 9th at the second to last call, and second at the top of the stretch. So that was more of a middle move wins. And then last time, another steady progression, 7th, 5th, 1st. That was the Just the Game on Belmonte. That was a good field, as Mike said. These are, a lot of the same horses. So I just think she's in really good form. Someone put in the chat, look for the Chad Brown who hasn't won a grade 1. That's typically a good angle. And I think that's Copice and White Beam, if I am not mistaken.
No, White Beam won the Diana
not
last
White
year.
Beam, not White Beam.
I think it's Fluffy. I don't think Fluffy's won a grade 1.
Capice and Fluffy.
Yeah. Yep.
This is the type of race where, the Tory might be going off on Capice at like 15-1 on the, and then after the race, you're like, how the hell did Chad Brown and Frankie Dettori pay $33.40? But it's, it's that type of race. I mean, I love Didia. I've been on Didia since our good friend Jessica Paquette gave it to us 2 years ago. I got a feeling she's a little vulnerable here. I can't make a cogent argument of why, but
I sort of feel the same, even though I have her on top, which is sort of
yeah.
stupid.
But the other thing, Howard, is though, you know what? I'd feel better having that feeling if she was going to be 2-1, and no one, I don't think, is going to be 2-1 in this race. So
yeah,
she might not even be the favorite. And so now you're getting into, talk about inform. Am I just being stupid here and not betting the best horse at 7-2? So I don't know. It's a good race. Hey, if Chad Brown's going to have 5, it's much less of a problem if 5 other people enter horses, which they did here.
That's true. I'm just 2 quick things from me. I'm using Mission of Joy somewhere, guys. She's getting better and better, and she ran big last time to lose just a Chili Flag, and she's gonna get a price. So I'm gonna be using Mission of Joy. Plus the Kitten's Joys do like a little moisture in the turf. So I think Mission of Joy I wouldn't sleep on. And Mike Gillum, as Pete and Paul know, I've chased Coppice the last 2 times, and she broke my heart at Churchill when I was there in person for the Derby. And last time she just wasn't very good. But if you watch the last replay, I'm not going to show it, guys. She was a little bit rank and like rushed up into a weird spot and was like in between horses. And I thought the Tory just moved too soon. It's not like she ran poorly, and she's not run a grade 1. And Pete Visco, anyone on the screen, knows how to find a Chad Brown winner at a price. Guys, I'm using Coppice too. I'm not picking her on top, obviously. It wouldn't shock me, Paul. I mean, is there really anyone here that is so much better than anyone else in this race, really?
Pretty even.
Right?
I like the exacta right back from the whatever what race did Didier win? That was the New York. Yeah, I like the exacta right back. I like Nisi Marie at double digits with picking up Saez, because I feel like Saez might be just a little bit more aggressive. Rosario, when he's got a closer, he just takes it back to the clouds. And I feel like Saez might be a little bit more aggressive. And if he can get her a little closer, she might just be one of those horses who the jump from 3 to 4, she just got good from 3 to 4. And if she's a little bit closer and just doesn't leave too much to do, I feel like her at a price can be just as good as any of the other ones.
It's a great betting race. I think this might be the best betting race on the card. I mean, any exact or a try is going to pay. Singh, who I believe is from Canada, guys, and Singh, if you're not, I apologize, said the turf's going to be firm. But he also said, Mike, what about Moira? I mean, Moira's a really nice horse on the rail. I'm a little concerned about the layoff, but man, if she's ready, I mean, what's wrong with Moira on the inside, Mike? This is just a really good field.
It is. It's just a monster race. I mean, if any one of these horses would win, it would not surprise me at all. Any of them. And Moria, last time race in the Breeders' Cup, came in third, to Inspiral and Warm Heart.
Huge.
By a length and a quarter. So she was really, really impressive last year. She can definitely, that's why I have her in second. She will be in on my pick 5, but if any of these horses win, it would not surprise me. But Chad having 5 horses, I don't have any of them in the my top 2 choices. So it's kind of
All right.
Kind of like, whoa.
No, Paul and Pete, no Christmas cards from Chad Brown and Mike Gillum for winning the NHC. But
well,
hey,
when he finishes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then Mike will feel
Exactly.
Mike will be too happy. Yeah.
We've all seen it. We've all seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
we have seen it. He's done it before. Don't be surprised. Let's go on to the next race, guys. We got one more great stake to talk about, and then we'll talk about the finale. Race 11, guys, the Sanford traditional opening weekend 2-year-old stake. Today was the Schuylerville. On Thursdays we film. On Saturday it's the Sanford grade 3, 175,000. Of course, like I said, the 2-year-old 6 furlongs. Pretty big morning line favorite here, guys, in the rail horse Mentee, Pletcher and Velasquez, 6-5 morning line. Let's see where we're going. Bottom of the screen here. I'm going 7-2-4. Pete's going 2-4-7. Hey, Pete, same 3
Nice.
we've got, and we're just throwing the favorite out. Why not? Paul's going 6-1-8, and Mike is going 4-2. No, wait, do I have the wrong?
Yeah,
no, like wrong?
My numbers definitely are wrong.
Hold on, I got something wrong here, guys.
Yeah,
tell me your. I knew something was off there. Tell me, guys, your top choices. I'm sorry.
Mine is correct.
Mine
Pete,
is
what do you got?
Mine's 6-1-8 also. I think that's what you
All
have,
right,
isn't it,
Pete.
Paul?
Paisan.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow!
Mine
And what do
is,
you have, Mike?
Mine's 6-1-5.
Okay,
So
what
I'm
did I?
right there,
Wow,
too.
what did I do there?
I didn't.
Okay.
I was gonna say if I was
What in the
anxious,
world?
Mike, to hear you make a case for this 4-horse.
No,
I was looking at it going-
no. That was a misprint by Howard. No, I'm
Well, Mike, he's had a very difficult technological day. Get laid
It's
off.
very rough. Hey, Mike, look what I got. I also have 6-1-5. How about
There
that?
you
Oh, the
go.
6.
Right on.
Oh, this 6 has no shot.
No, the
No,
six.
God,
The
what
6
is
is
this?
we are all going with Studley Do Right, a Maryland
shot.
bred for John Robin, Xavier Perez, who upset the field last time, and all of us knuckleheads feel the same way. I don't even know who I should toss it to first. Paul, you're king knucklehead. What do you like about Studley Do Right?
Thank you. I resemble that remark. I just think he's going to get the same trip. This race is, you got to take a look at the Mentee race, and the comment confident handling. They're missing the prefix over before confident.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Here's the fast pace, right, Paul? It's gonna be fast.
Oh, it's going to be a fast pace, but I think you got to make a decision. Obviously, Johnny V had this horse geared down, but it got very, very close.
Very close.
If you watch the stretch, and I'm not so sure that was only because he had him geared down.
I
And
agree with
think
you
at an
100%, Paul.
At
He
an
was like
extra
life and death
furlong,
at the end.
At an extra furlong, Howard, if someone can go with this horse, I think this horse is beatable at what will probably be around even money. Now, he's still riding him at the 16th pole. Takes a look, okay? Now he's going to stop a little, but he is, he's riding him right here.
Yeah, I didn't
And
think he
he-
really shut him down too much. I thought he was
less than I thought, Pete, after watching it there.
yeah.
Yeah,
That was
he
pretty good freeze frame,
really-
guys. Not
Nice
bad for a
stop.
time.
Yeah,
there.
that was a good stop there, Howard.
That's the
Pretty
first
good.
thing you did right today with technology. So nice work.
I have to actually agree with you on that. Pete.
Yeah, so I just think, but I think the key is that, someone going with him early, which I think in this race, there's a high probability. Now, I'm not exactly positive. The 5 ran really well last time. The 5 was sitting on top of a good pace and then just got out finished. So that you got to figure the 5 is going to be in the mix. The 3 horse, Butchie Reed's horse coming up from Parks, he's always sharp. This horse is coming off 4.5 furlongs. So you got to figure that horse is going to go. Irad's on a Jeremiah Engel horse on the outside who won for fun in a state bred maiden race last time. So I think as long as this one doesn't get to walk around there, which he certainly shouldn't in a 2-year-old stake, I think he's vulnerable. And I just think the 6 might get the same trip he got last time.
Let's watch the replay, Pete, and let's talk about it. This was 3 Echoes, who Paul mentioned, who's the 5 in the race on Saturday, is the 5 again here. So let's look at the 1 and the 5 here. Studley Do Right came from pretty far back, but he really did it. Here's 3 Echoes like chasing. Studley Do Right's not even on the screen right now, and did it really professionally, although the rail really did open up and he ran probably as best as he can. But he did do it well. Did the pace collapse? You think it'll just collapse again, or is he like a serious 2-year-old?
I don't know, but that's a 4 to 5 shot, Pete, on the lead there.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, it wasn't running down dogs and kicked in late, and it was. I don't know. I like the late kick, and I agree with you, Paul, on the fact that we do need somebody to go with the one, though. I think, and then hopefully hopefully if he gets a little competition, he folds like his brother Fierceness generally does when you give him a little somebody to run with him. So that's what I think our hope is. But I think if the one gets away, I think we'll probably be a little sharper this time and may be able to pick away. That's the concern. I mean, it's not like you could toss the one. I mean, we all have the one in second, so it's not like that horse can easily get on the lead and win by 5, and you wouldn't sit there and go, "Oh my God, how the hell did that happen?" So,
Mike, let me play devil's advocate. Although I do agree with Pete and Paul in general that it could be a hot pace. The 3 probably doesn't want to mix it up with the 1. Probably would rather sit. The 5, I don't think is going to go after that horse. And something I thought about, guys, I don't know if you thought about this. Do we really think Irad Ortiz is going to send like a banshee to F up a Pletcher Rapoli horse? Think about what I just said. I know it's a stake race at Saratoga, Mike, but I don't think Mr. Pletcher would be happy with Irad if he just pushes the 1 really hard because they have a good relationship. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, Mike, but I thought about that when I saw the 8 and the 1. Thoughts on this race?
Either Menti is just going to be an absolute superstar and could just be the next big thing, or I mean, when I saw his last race, I'm like, wow, that was really impressive. And he, and then I looked at him like, is he getting tired or what? I don't see Irad holding back on that at all. He wants to win every bit as could be Irad saying, "Okay, Todd, put me on your horse then. If not, I'm going to beat you." I mean, I don't take that as. I think Irad's going for it. When the money's on the line, $175,000 purse, he's going for it. He's not worrying about that crap.
Yeah, but he doesn't necessarily have to send, right? He can try and get to him a little later and not make it easy on him. And that's what Irad could do. Irad might not run and send with him, but he can, when they get to the lane, he could come up on his neck and say, "All right, let's see, let's make you run a little earlier this time and see what happens." Yeah.
And he's the other speed horse in there. But I think Menti is going to get some pressure, and I think the pressure at 5 furlongs, he about gave it up. It's an extra furlong. And the 6, Studley Do Right's the only closer, probably the best closer, but the only closer. I think they're all going to go, and he's going to get a really good trip. Well, that's what I'm hoping anyway. So that's why I picked the 6. But in the pick 5, I'll be playing the 1 and the 6 only. I won't be playing the 5 in my pick 6, but 5 is my third choice.
Mike, I agree with you again. Either 1 wires the field or the 6 runs them down. I just don't see a lot of other alternatives. What I really like about the 6, Paul, Studley Do Right, other than the obvious, is I don't know if you guys caught that stride is long. Like, he looks like he wants 2 turns, like right now. Yeah. I mean, he was gobbling up the ground. You'd have to think, unless the track is biased, this horse is going to make a real nice late run. And in a weird way, Paul, I almost trust the 6 more than the 1, just in the respect of, the 6 is going to make a run, and you're not sure if the 1 gets caught up, he could finish 5th. I mean, so if you'd ask me, like, who's more likely to finish 1st or 2nd, I might even say the 6, but the 1, like we said, could win by 5. I mean, it's an interesting race, Paul.
Well, Howard, another thing to consider, the track on Belmont Festival weekend was very speed favoring, and
yes.
This Studley Do Right ran like that on that track. It was on Thursday. I'm not positive if it were as pronounced on Thursday, but you showed that replay, and at the 8th pole, I'm watching the replay today, saying, and I saw the race live, but I'm getting old. I don't remember things like I used to. I'm watching the replay today, saying, how the hell does this horse win? from here.
I thought I was looking at the wrong horse at one
You're
point.
right, Pete.
Like, yeah.
And then I'm Pete. Then I'm saying a 4 to 5 on the lead. I'm saying, really, how does he win from
Did
here?
I click on the wrong replay? Yeah,
yeah,
did I click on the wrong one?
I thought I might have clicked on a Churchill. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you can't do that.
I did go watch a Churchill replay today, Pete, just for this card. Just so you know, I did.
You dug one up out of the
through Naira bets.
By the way, I know you're a Saratoga guy, but you haven't bitched once about the coupled entries. I didn't know if you wanted to throw a little dig in.
Pete, Pete, even I'm tired of listening to myself about that. It's just
if you can't
thing, Pete, you know why I have to stop talking about it? Because you cannot make one good argument against it.
Yeah.
So what's the point of keep talking about it? And I don't want to hear about strategy. As Mike just talked about, these guys, these trainers, owners, jockeys, everyone wants to win every race. Okay. So why talk? If someone can make a good argument for coupled entries, we'll bring them on and then we'll talk about it. Until then, we'll agree it's archaic, it's dinosauric, it's stupid, it's a handle killer, as Jim Miller pointed out. The racing secretary at one of our favorite racetracks. It's an absolute handle killer, and there. So that's my rant about my in-show mini rant about coupled entries. Pete loves to get me going.
See, Mike, it doesn't take much to just needle him and get him. I can get him on a good rant anytime. Yeah. He does a big one at the end of the show, but it doesn't take much to get him going. So we like to do that.
I love it.
Paul, I've got a challenge for you for the Saratoga special. I'd like you to use the word dinosauric in one of your articles in the next few weeks. I don't think that's actually a word. I don't think that's actually a word. The Clancy's are too smart for that, but maybe.
See if it gets by. You want me to see if I can get it by?
Yeah, see if it gets by.
I'll take that challenge. I'm not sure what I'm writing again. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the last race, guys. We'll talk about our best bets, and then Mike, we always end with Paul's rant of the week, which will be a lot of fun. Oh, that was it? Okay.
No. Keep going.
All right. Starter optional 35 claimer, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. The rails are out, by the way, 12 feet, which we didn't mention for people that care about that. Big field of 11. Of course, it's going to stay on the turf. One line favorites number 2. Dr. Oseran, Clement, Rosario. Let's see where we're going to close out the late pick 5. I'm going 9-8-2. Pete's going 5-8-9. Paul's going 2-7-1, and Mike is going 9-2-11. A very difficult way to close it out. Mike, one with you. You're going with Rhythm Nick for Maker and Santana. What do you like about this one, Mike?
The two horses, is the horse to beat. But I'm going to try to beat him with the 9 Rhythmic Nick, 9-2. Michael Maker dropping in for a tag for $35K. Last out he took back. I just hope this time he sends, and I'm looking to, for him to wire the field this time. So that's why I'm playing the 9. It's kind of a pace play, just hoping he can just get out and go. And, the turf sprints are always tough. But I'm going to go with the hopefully the speed horse here with the 9. Rhythm Nick.
Yeah. Mike, have you looked at my notes before the show? Like, this is crazy. I mean,
yeah, we've been on like every horse, haven't we?
This makes me feel so good, Mike. And I love Pete and Paul, but boy, this makes me feel good. I mean, I have nothing to add. My question is, what were they doing last time? Like, I think, and I'm just guessing here, that Maker is trying to teach this horse to rate, because this horse is really a speed horse. And Maker's not like a Banshee kind of trainer, right?
Right.
I think they were teaching this horse to rate. It was no bueno. He was like 4 wide, out in the middle of nowhere. He didn't look like he wanted to be rated. He was like in the 5 path. I watched the replay and I was like, this horse is not enjoying himself. This is just a send and go. I mean, I totally agree with you. If he gets to the top, I think he's going to win this race. It's not going to be easy, though. It's not going to be easy, and it's a major drop. This is not a strong pick for me. I don't know how strong you feel about this horse.
No, not very.
Yeah, this is just a tricky, and I hate turf sprints, by the way, Mike. It's my least favorite kind of race. Paul, let's go to you. You've got the 2, Dr. Oseran, a very live horse. It certainly can win. I have minor distance concerns, so really that's my only concern.
Yeah, it'd be hard to imagine liking the race any less than this race. But I think Rosario. This is the type of horse Rosario does win on. I think he kind of gets a middle. He won't unless he decides he can't take him to the back of the pack in 5.5 furlongs.
No,
but yeah, I just he's a tepid pick for me. It looked like he was a winner 2 races back, and then he just got nabbed. That was with Rosario. I don't think the half furlong, Howard, it doesn't really bother me. I just think he just might be ridden a little differently. And, I think Rosario could have learned something from that race. Obviously, the last race was that, Rosario rode him because that was Preakness Day. And, Rosario wasn't going to Laurel to ride him. But if they're going to bring, Clement's going to bring the horse back to New York, then Rosario's on him. I do like that angle, the fact that Rosario is going to get a second crack at him and nearly won with him in a very similar race 2 races back.
Yeah, Dr. Osron, definitely a threat. Pete, you're going to go with Jack. Like, hey, Mac, it's Jack. This horse I've bet several times, and I've just been incredibly frustrated by the gelding. I think he's got some talent, but he has trouble putting it together. But, I mean, he's going to be a little bit of a price here, Pete, and it's a wide open race, so why not?
Yeah, I hated this race. I was happy when you didn't go to me first because I have.
We all hate this race. Why don't we just go right to the rant? We all hate this race.
Well, it's funny. So I always say this. My dad bets my son's name.
That's right.
My son's name is Jackson, so this will be on his card. So that's a negative also. He gets lucky every once in a while, but the one thing I did like is, and again, he's 6 years old, so it's not like he's generally going to improve super much, but he did come off what was that? What is that? Like over a year layoff and ran pretty well last time. Gets junior. And I think maybe if there's just a little improvement off that race or even is similar than that race, I don't think it takes much to get ahead of some of these other horses. So I was sort of looking for a price. And the other thing I liked is that this horse is pretty versatile, has gone on the lead and won, can sit off and passes horses. So I think there's, like you said, this is a horse that always looks decent on paper, doesn't always necessarily run to what you want him to do. But I feel like in a field that I hate, there's a bunch of horses that I was just like, I don't even know. I don't have a top choice. So I'm going to just land on one that I think maybe is versatile enough and can work out a decent trip.
Pete, is your buddy Nick going to be betting the Monmouth Shipper Playground Legend? I thought this horse was. I didn't think this horse was out of the picture here either. I thought this horse.
We both have it, and we both have him in second.
We do,
surprisingly. The thing I like the only one out of the money were the two races out of the money were both going 8 furlongs. So the stretch out was no good. 4 for 4 going 5.5 ish or 5. So kind of likes it. This is probably the sweet spot for this horse, and I just thought that. Another one that could be maybe sharp coming off, hasn't run since August, came back in June, ran pretty well, not great or anything, but pretty well. And maybe just if can get some pace. Did you look at the time form? I forget already.
I actually didn't show it. No,
it's not good. It's time form looks cold or whatever you want to call it, slow. Okay. So it doesn't look, but I think
favors
in a race like this, if we can get a little bit of pace, and the one thing you liked about this one is has some races where it was close. So it isn't always all the way in the back. So maybe if you get that trip, like it's on the screen there, I don't know. Again, who the hell knows in this one? I think
exactly.
Let's try and go as deep as possible to try and close it out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like they all see not a lot of speed, and then Joel sends on the 2. Like, who the hell knows, right?
Yeah.
It's tricky. Let's get to our best bets here, and we're going to wrap up the show in just a little bit. Mike, Mike, we'll thank you several times, but we really do appreciate you coming on tonight. I hope you've enjoyed your time. We'd love to have you back again, too, for some other big days. We appreciate it. Let's go to our best bets, guys, very quickly here as I bring them up. Mike, you're going to go first. Real simple, Mike. You told me before the show, and you said during the show, sometimes you're just a win bet guy. It worked out well for you at the NHC. Just pound Didia and have a nice day, right? That simple.
Oh, it's such a monster race. I won't be betting Didia, no. She'll be in my pick 5. It is my best bet. I mean, my best, I'm most confident.
Got it.
But I won't be playing it. I mean, it's 5 races that we have to pick from. And I looked at the 5. I'm like, okay, which one do you like the most? I'm like, well, actually, I kind of really like Didia, but it's the toughest race. It's just a monster race. So
yeah,
but I just think that it's a really good horse, and it's on track for the for the Breeders' Cup. If she can reproduce that win, and I'm looking for the same perfect trip because she has tactical speed and a big burst, and just looking for her to get home down the lane.
The Diana's gonna be a great race, and she's got a big shot, obviously. Paul, you're gonna go to race 10 with your bets. You're gonna go with
Interesting, isn't it?
Number 10. Is that That's Chili Flag, right? Yep, Chili
It
Flag.
is.
And then
But
look at my favorite nephew. He's going to back wheel. I love it. He's got trifectas using Evie Jets in second and third with some alls. I love it, Paul.
Well, it's aggressive. I just think this horse is going to run. The obvious is, well, he ran a mile last time and quit. Now he's got to go a mile and an eighth. But that doesn't, we talked about the inner, we talked about speed. It just doesn't always work that way. Dylan Davis had 2 wins today. We know he's going to be aggressive. This is a definite horse for course. Horse ran very well at Saratoga, winning the Boston Spa, a grade 2 last year. Was only 3/4 of a length off in that just a game that all these other horses are coming out of. So I think in an odd way, the stretch out could be okay for this horse. And again, I'm not playing the horse to win the race. I'm playing at 20-1 to hang on for second or third. And unlike today, maybe I can get the right horse on top, which I didn't do today.
Yeah. Pete, you're going to race 9, Pete. You're going to play a pick 3, 8 with 4, 6, 8, 10 with 6. That's Studley Do Right, and that's also your win bet on the end of that pick 3. Am I correct about that?
Yes, both of those. So I was sort of with Mike here, where if you're picking from these 5, there was none that I loved. So I figured, let's try and beat a big chalk in the 11th, and we'll go with that Studley Do Right, and we hope somebody goes with the 1 Mentee, and then same thing. So with the pick 3, I figured there are 4 horses in the Diana, and this is a cheap pick 3, so you play it a bunch of times. You wouldn't play it for 50 cents or whatever it costs at Saratoga. You wouldn't play it for that because I don't think it'll pay great unless we get one of the pricier horses in the middle, which I don't really have pricey horses. So it's just one of those, just bang it for however much money as you can handle, and let's see if we can get the singles on both ends.
I like it. Guys, I really like taking Candy in race 9 to beat Irish Aces, or at least to run really well. I realize that this horse has to step up, but there's a lot of horses I don't like in there. Paul, you mentioned buoys in that race. I've chased that horse so many damn times. I'm so sick of that horse. That can never get there. That horse has cost me too much money. He's not the full divorce for me on the number 9 in that race. We'll see, Mike. That the number 10 taking Candy to me is the most interesting horse of the sequence, and that horse might finish 6th, Mike. I don't know, but I'm curious to see if Cherie's got this one ready to go. We are definitely thinking alike there, guys. It's time.
My bet was almost my third choice. I had written down was a Dutch Exacta with Irish Aces at whatever their numbers were. I think 8-10.
8-10, yeah.
8-10, 10-8. That was my third one that I chopped off. So I kind of like that one with you.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that one does. All right, guys, we're gonna have a very quick end of the show with our famous segment, Mike Gillum. It is called Paul's Rant of the Week. Paul, we're going to go off screen here. You got about 1 minute, and then we will finish the show. Paul, it is all yours.
Well, Howard, unfortunately, this great game we love found itself on the legal pages again in the last week. You may have heard that the National HBPA, the Horsemen Benevolent Protective Association, which is basically a national horsemen's group, has again sued to get rid of HISA. It was a very interesting ruling by the Fifth Circuit, which we won't get into politics, but by any standard, the Fifth Circuit, which covers Louisiana, even for Louisiana and Texas, is an outlier. However, they've ruled against HISA before. and Congress went and changed the law by one sentence. This ruling says that HISA is constitutional, but their enforcement mechanisms are not. So, of course, the horsemen are saying, well, if you can't enforce it, it's ineffective. So, unfortunately, I think this, believe it or not, trying to get uniformity in this sport is going to end up in the United States Supreme Court at some point, which seems completely idiotic to me, but I guess it is what it is. But I don't think it's going to affect anything in the short term. Who knows? There's exactly one first-rate track in Texas and Louisiana. There's some other lower level tracks, but obviously fairgrounds in New Orleans. But God, it's just frustrating that we can't get everyone on the same page. And, we're talking about Saratoga, and, 4 days ago, this racing's in the mainstream media because of another court ruling. So hopefully it gets straightened out.
Let's just keep everything on the racetrack and outside the courtrooms. I think we'd all
Wouldn't that be
agree.
great?
That would be a nice, refreshing change of pace. Guys, it's been a lot of fun. Mike Gillum, NHC champ, again, thanks very much for sticking on this long. We really appreciate it. We would, it was awesome. Again, Mike, we loved it. I'll be emailing you soon, and we'd love to have you, texting you. We'd love to have you back on the show again. And good luck in any other contest plays you have, man, because that's one hell of an accomplishment. And I'm sure you feel like, you don't need to win too many other tournaments the rest of your life, but why the hell not would be my response to that. Just keep winning, man. So we're happy for you. Congratulations. So you're welcome. For NHC champ Mike Gillum and my great co-host Paul Halloran and Pete Visco, this has been Howard Krebs, episode 361 of Picks and Ponies, Saturday and Sunday morning, 10:45 Eastern, live, Saratoga today, previewing early or late pick fives for these weekend races. Please join us in the morning, Saturday and Sundays live. Crush your bets at Saratoga this Saturday. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mike.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.